But we will be releasing it on Android. We're actually reworking a lot of the game's structure. It's very linear right now, and we're looking to change that, and we're also looking to open it up so it's entirely free. I think the paywall, in the end, has been keeping a lot of people from playing the game's content. And we are going to be putting ads in the game. That's something that it currently doesn't have. But like I said, it's tough making money from mobile games, even with over 1.5 million downloads. Like, you can still miss out on a potential to make a decent amount of money on something that you've invested a lot of work in.
So for those who are familiar with your monetization strategy, talk about the paywall for just a second. How does the game work in the game?
So what happened was the game was actually going to be a premium game. It was originally just going to be a pay to download and play. And we sort of got a bit of cold feet going into the launch because there was a potential for the feature, and at the time, we're completely unknown. We're worried that if we don't get featured, no one's really going to check it out. So let's find a way to make it free. We don't have a lot of time. What can we do? And so we decided to make the first world free, and there's 4 worlds, and they kind of get progressively longer. In terms of time played, they have the same amount of levels. And so when you reach the end of that first world, you literally hit a paywall. So we bring up sort of a video animation preview of what's coming up next, and we sort of give you the rundown. And we sell level packs. We sell a bundle, which would be all of the levels, all the worlds all together. And then we also sell the characters' outfits as a shortcut. If you don't want to kind of play the entire game to get enough gold, you can just buy the outfit.
Do you have statistics how many people have come behind the paywall? How many %?
Yeah, so it's quite funny because if you were to look at the amount of people, like the percentage of people that hit the paywall and then paid, the amount of people that got to the paywall and we were able to monetize them, the percentage is awesome. It's 10%. So that's really good because free is usually you're looking between 1 or 2%, or less maybe. But there's a lot of people we lose on the way to the paywall. So when you actually factor everybody that's downloaded the game to everybody that's actually converted, then it's about 1%, a little bit over, but not very much. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So are you trying to make adjustments then to make sure that people get to that point, or are you just, like you say, you're just going to completely change the monetization model?
A little bit of both. We don't want to sort of devalue anybody's purchased and everybody that's already purchased level packs. So there's still a benefit to buying into the levels. But what we're doing is, first of all, is we are trying to figure out a way to make it so that the entire game is accessible somehow for free. And the other thing we're trying to do is we're trying to break up how linear the game is, and we want to give a more interesting game loop. Right now it's basically like play a level, beat a level, play the next level, beat the next level. Any point in that chain, if you hit a level that you don't like or that's tough and you're not figuring it out, or if something else shows up, you can drop off very easily, right? Because you don't have a lot of options. Each of the levels are very interesting on their own, and I think that was our biggest, the game's biggest strength is kind of the look and the level design. But we don't do a whole lot to keep you in the game, right? We just let you enjoy the game at your own will. And so I think there's an opportunity there, and we're looking at some pretty interesting things to have a much better game loop with a bit more of choice.
And do you guys plan to make this like your primary focus? Like this is going to be this particular app is kind of like the franchise that you're going to focus on, or are you going to do like a series of apps? Or?
I think that remains to be decided, really. But right now, we're putting all of our energy into this. I think we have a really good game, and I think we can basically make it even better, and then we can launch it to even more people. So I think we still have a really good opportunity, and it's worth investing. And there's been a lot of people that have been playing the game, and they're asking for more worlds and more levels. So there's a demand as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the reason I ask is we've had that conversation here before is kind of like, should you, quantity or quality, should you have one app that you focus on exclusively, or should you have multiple apps and just try to, iterate until you have like that big win? But I mean, you guys, with 1 million and change download, I mean, you guys have already kind of hit the big win, I think, in those terms, especially as your first app. I don't know if you said you're saying this is your first app as a group, or if you're saying first app ever, but it's a fantastic offering either way.
Thank you. This was our first app as a company. Davi had previously worked with mobile. I personally hadn't. I came from Microsoft. I was on Kinect and on Xbox, and sort of moved on to something a little more, maybe not casual, because Kinect is kind of casual, but I guess smaller scope.
Gotcha. Yeah, being able to wake up in the morning and you're the one making the decisions as to how you're going to spend your day. Okay, well these are all great. I mean, does anybody in the panel have any other questions? I want to leave time for.
How long have you been working on the game?
Oh, that was one of my questions.
That's a good one.
So we've been working a fairly long time on it. It was altogether to launch was just about 2 years. We had about 2 to 3 months in the beginning that was long distance from Canada to Brazil. I was in Canada, so it was Pacific time, and so we'd get into those 6-hour differences, anywhere between 4 to 6 hours differences depending on the time of year. And then once I came to Brazil to start the company, then it was about a year and some where we were half-time on it because we were contracting. And so, all of that stuff, I think it did give us time to learn. It was my first development project. I hadn't programmed before. Like I said, I come from like a game design and an art background. And so it gave me enough time to learn, and Corona was awesome for that because it really kind of lets you kind of get results a bit quicker. And then it lets you sort of learn and polish your coding style and everything you learn how to do in Lua. You kind of learn over time, and you're not immediately faced with like this giant wall of complexity, and so I think it gave us a lot of time to learn and polish. At the end of the day, I think Davi had a lot of time to polish the art and to really find a good art style, and I think it shows.
I've got 2 questions.
Go ahead, Ed.
One of my questions is, you touched on this. It sounded like you said that due to the fact that your game is linear in nature, level to level is the only way to advance, that sometimes users were blocked and say, okay, I'm done because I don't like this level, or I can't figure out this level. So did you say, are you thinking about changing it to a non-linear progression, like branching or optional bypassing?
Yeah, we are. We've already kind of set the design for it. So what we're doing is, because we want to preserve the levels we already made, but we also see the flaws in sort of, in hindsight, everything is a lot clearer, obviously. So,
sure.
We've noticed, for example, that for new people playing, not people that have been playing levels or had been advancing to other worlds, but in the first world, it takes a while to see new content, right? You're learning about the game. And there's a lot of impatient people on mobile. They want to see things right away. Yeah. So we need to get you into like the thick of things a bit quicker. That was one lesson learned. But we obviously don't want to make it too hard, or else we're going to frustrate everybody. Right. And in the nature of our game, where like one movement and you can make a mistake that will make you want to restart an entire level, it can get frustrating, right? I mean, it's fun and it's definitely gratifying when you figure things out, but it can get frustrating. We're well aware of that. So if you're frustrated with a level, we don't offer you anything else. And I think that's something that we owe the user because we know that we might frustrate them. And so that's something that we're doing now, is creating, like instead of having one sequence of levels, you're going to have a few, and each sequence will lead you to an artifact. These will be called like treasure hunts. And you'll have something else which is a little more casual to do in between these treasure hunts or just whenever, which will be pretty cool, and it's something that we're working on. I'm not going to say anything yet because we got to make sure it works first.
Yeah, no, don't do that. And then actually the last one wasn't really a question, but a suggestion based on something here on the show told me. Editors. Have you
Editors.
considered enabling an editor to let people create their own levels?
Right.